He knew me. So this is very important that we understand this. So here again, we see in verse 10, I was cast upon thee from the womb, and thou, my God, from my mother's belly. So we really have to understand that God didn't just call us as adults, He called us as children. That we would know Him and trust Him and not lean on the arm of the flesh. God brought us through so much that we shouldn't even doubt when He calls us. We shouldn't even think about if God is with us, because we know that God got a plan for our life. We're not here just to socialize, but we're here to get a deeper revelation. We're here because we want to draw nigh to God. We're here because we know if we study and show ourselves approved, God will be pleased. Because that's why we're here. We're here to please God. We're not here because we want to see each other, but we want to get closer to God. We want to know His Word. We want to know His ways. That's the only way you're going to get through some circumstances, is that you know God's ways. You're going to learn to pray for yourself. You're not going to be looking for people to pray you out of a situation. You're going to call on God because you know that He what? Called you from the womb. He called you by name. He's sustaining you through this situation. You don't have a place, but He's sustaining you. Have you ever been homeless, but you wasn't homeless? Why? Because He had you. He had you. It was that circumstance that He was letting you know that no longer are you going to walk after the counsel of the flesh, but you're going to walk after the Spirit of the living and true God. Because when God is with you, you feel His Spirit. You know He has a hedge of protection around you, and you know somebody going to open up a door for you. Why? Because you're serving God, you're walking with Him, you're trusting Him, and you're praising Him. So when we look at Christ, we understand that Christ had that type of relationship with God. He knew God. He said, I do nothing but what I see the what? The Father doing. Verse 12 says, many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me around. In verse 13, they have gasped upon me with their mouths, and as ravens as a roaring lion. So what is he talking about? These bulls are going back to the Old Testament. These bulls were the finest of the cattle. They were the biggest and the strongest. That's what he's talking about right there. He's talking about these bulls. He's talking about His best. See? And we have to understand that when we start to look at things going on around us, God is saving the best for us. Why does it say Bashan? If you would go to Israel, the largest and the best and the nicest and the strongest, the most fit cattle came from an area called Bashan. These are the most powerful animals, and that is exactly what the Romans were. Powerful soldiers. They were powerful in the world at that time. I mean, they were world rulers at that time. So that's why when he's talking about the Bashan, he's talking about the Roman Empire. In verse 14, and I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, and it is melted in the midst of my bowels. So he says, all my bones are out of joint. What a phenomenal prophecy to be fulfilled, being the Passover lamb. Back in Exodus chapter 12, not one bone was broken. None of the Messiah's bones were broken. They were out of joint, but they were not broken. See, I'm just trying to give you the revelation that Psalms 22 was David prophesying about the crucifixion of Christ Jesus. And we're looking at it right now. We're looking at him prophesying about something he couldn't know. This was 900 years before Christ. You see that revelation? Verse 15. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaws, and thou hast brought me unto the dust of the what? Of the death. So what is he talking about here? He's talking about Christ. He's talking about Christ going through, suffering. Why is Christ suffering? Because of the relationship that he had with God. Remember? He says, now think about it. By the time it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Jesus did not have a lot of physical strength left. He was literally living on faith alone. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. Jesus was dehydrated. He had been up all Monday. He was arrested Monday night and beaten. Tuesday, when